One.
Good evening and welcome to Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Television in Canada, around the world. Topic of the today is the importance of home inspection. When you are buying a home, is the most expensive decision you will be making in your life. And how important is home inspection? I have invited certified home inspector George Kadlicko.
Yes.
Welcome, George.
Thank you very much, Tahir. Thanks for having me on the chat. And so an inspection is very important. Like you said, Tahir, it is the biggest investment you make in your life, and it does mean a lot to have a proper home inspection done. It allows, in a nutshell, allows you to see the condition of the home. And you need to know exactly, well, the best way, as most people know, a home inspection is non-invasive. So
can you tell us, George, what is name of your company? So first thing is to introduce yourself.
Yes.
What is your full name is, and what is the name of the company, and how long you've been doing inspection, and then we'll talk about the actual issues.
Okay, so my name is George Kadlicko. I've been an inspector for over 15 years, and I'm currently, my company is called Inspection Sense. Currently, the website's being worked on at the moment, but that'll be out very shortly. I've done many inspections from commercial to residential. Every size home there is, pretty much. In general, a home inspection is done the same way throughout. Doesn't matter the size, but they mean everything in the sale process and your buying process. And the client would be wise to get a professional home inspection done.
Okay, then normally the purpose of the home inspection is to identify any major issue in the house.
Yes.
Before you firming up your deal. Normally inspection is done before a conditional sale, so make sure that you're satisfied. It helps you to prepare yourself a contingency funds, or at least you are aware of it, what are expected in case you move into this house today.
Absolutely.
How a consumer should know that without having inspection. So is that the major reason that you are able to identify the major issues in home inspection?
So like you said, Tahir, it's very important to know what you're getting into when you purchase a house. It may look good off, just a look, but once you dig deeper through the inspection, you can spot deficiencies or things that are at their end of their life cycle or mid-life cycle. You need to know these things. So 5 years, 10 years down the road, how much of a cost that will incur on the purchase of your house, or you could use it in the dealing process, in the sale process, and negotiate a price according to the inspection. There's many ways to use an inspection report in your benefit from the buyer and the seller's point of view.
So the seller point of view is that when you are selling your house, they can do a pre-inspection to identify any deficiencies. before they
Absolutely.
put in the market. Okay.
Yes.
And sometimes they can share that report with the buyer.
Yes.
And if the buyer is relying on that report and waiving the condition, that's one story. Or
Yes.
they can have their independent assessment, hiring you or any certified inspector to get
Yes.
the deal. So the reason I am pointing out this, invited you, is that sometimes sellers give you too much assurances that my house has no problem. But
Yep.
how do I know there was a roof was leaking, basement
Yes.
was flooded, or there was a grow house, or some moisture in the house, or
Yes.
attic insulation is not good enough? How would I know? Should I take the bite and say, okay, he's giving me discount, and I take it, and I got a good deal? It make me feel very good about it that I negotiated a good deal. But then after you step in the house, then you can see with the small heavy rain, your windows are start leaking. So
Yes.
how what is your experience when people approach you for the home inspection, and what are their expectation, or what you normally do in a summary, because we're going to talk about it, and eventually we'll talk about how much normal inspection costs. So when
So
somebody calls you, what you ask the question to them, and what they expect from you, is there understanding and some sort of agreement that you sign with them what you will be
absolutely.
doing?
Absolutely. So when I do a home inspection, you should never do an inspection for a client or a buyer or a seller. You do the inspection for the house. So
That's
that
right.
way, that's right. So I work for the house. Whoever hires the inspector, it doesn't matter. You work for the house, you report the findings of the condition of the home, period. And in the end, what that means is you look better as the seller, the selling agent or the buying agent or the seller or the buyer client. It doesn't matter who. And so everybody knows the condition of the house and what to expect from the deal if the deal even happens. But in the end, it means everything for everybody, all the parties to understand that's what this house is, and not to underestimate pricing and before you okay a deal, you have to understand that before, and they have to understand what an inspection involves. If you don't, you need to find out.
So
And
you are retained to
yes,
come and do an inspection,
yes,
do you go through the protocol what this your inspection entails?
yes, I do every time.
And the step that you have to take, you show your license or you're registered with so and so company, and you
Yeah,
tell them that how long you've been doing it, if they
yeah,
want you to give you some reference. I
right,
am at this point, when somebody already bring you in, that means they already verified that you are referred by somebody, right?
right.
So when you go there, so how do you conduct? Do you start immediately inspection, or you sit down few minutes and talk with
Yes.
the client,
So
or do on the phone or physically, and then we'll
so
talk about the social distance and new way of doing inspection that will come at the end. Okay.
okay,
Right now
excellent.
we're talking about conventional.
Yes.
So when
So
somebody comes to you, okay, the buyer, who participate in the inspection? Is the buyer comes to with you, or the
uh,
seller agent, buyer agent, or how?
normally, so basically the way it is, I either so depending on who's calling me to get the inspection done. Most of the time, buyer or the seller agent. Um, Sometimes the buyer's agent, I mean, it could be any party, but most of the time it's the selling agent of the house or the new buyer, right? And basically, I tell them what the inspection entails by saying it's a non-invasive inspection. It's what you can see. We're not, as inspectors, we're not allowed to technically touch anything other than getting some information from, say, a furnace to show uh, life expectancy, or air conditioners, or we do uh, we're not required to go on roofs, but I do go on roofs depending on what I see. And but there's many other ways to inspect roofs other than going on ladders. And once they know that, then I'd sit down. Once I get to the property that's getting inspected, I'd sit them down, just show them, tell them, rehash what I've mentioned to them quickly on the phone, and if they were able to prepare the house, because before an inspection, you're supposed to prepare the house for the inspection. They have to. A lot of people have a lot of storage. Things are in the way. I need to get to access these rooms or areas of the house in order to perform a proper inspection. And whether they move their storage items out of the way so I can get to these areas, or prepare the house in terms of thermal inspection, which I highly recommend. You should always have that done. Because thermal inspection, once the home is prepared correctly for it, you can see a lot more than you normally under normal circumstances. That's generally what I do I'd sit them down and tell them what I'm going to be doing. It'll take about a good inspection is about 2 to 2.5 hours. And in the end, in 24 hours, you get a report fully outlined of all the areas that I've checked, and pictures outlining certain issues or possible areas of concern, generally.
Yeah. No, this is very important, because I know I'm involved with I invite people, and hopefully we'll be inviting you for do some inspection for our transactions. The
Yes.
idea is to get to know the property, to make sure no major things are happening and is going to end up costing you more when you move in. And you have a window leakage, you have a roof problem. For example, if there is a problem with the roof is the most dangerous part, because water is coming from the top to bottom, and everything
That's
inside
right.
is gypsum and wood and drywall.
Absolutely. Yep.
And if water is a biggest threat for the
Yes.
safety and structure of the house, because we have insulation or we have drywalls, and the
Yes.
moment you put water on drywall, you know what happens. It collapses, right?
Yep.
So the idea is, for example, you mentioned about the roof. I carry myself binocular with me all the time.
Absolutely.
And I just check to make sure, as a realtor, just to get a feeling about the property.
That's
to
right.
Make sure that it's there. And I know you have to have a license to drone. Now we have a drone now. And we can even get a drone, someone to give a drone to check around the roof if it's necessary. It's costing
Yes.
the money. You might have to think about that too. That's something that you can add to it, right?
Absolutely.
So idea is roof. If it's roof repair will cost you $5,000 or $3,000, and a typical inspection is between $350 to $500.
Yes.
Or $400 to $500.
Yes.
So by $500, you have a complete health condition of the house.
Absolutely.
Which is visually possible, right? So again, that come to my mind is when somebody has bought the house, they put their life saving online to get the mortgage, everything is done, and now they want to know in their mind, is there any future cost to me by living in this house, other than the closing costs and maintenance costs, or not maintenance, I'm talking about the mortgage and
everything over and above. Yes.
Over and above. So what are the costs, for example? So do you, when you are doing this and you are identifying the deficiency, do you give them an approximate cost for these, that approximate will cost you to repair this?
Absolutely. Yeah. I do highlight approximate costs and possible, things to keep in, if it doesn't need something at the moment, to keep an eye on it for future. It might not need to be dealt with right away, but in the near future, you might need to look at some areas.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, that has to do with the life. If you're talking
Yeah.
about HVACs and it takes they want compressor that the manufacturer give you 10 years warranty. After that,
Yes.
it's on your risk. So something
Yes.
happens, you have to call the HVAC guy to come and replace the
That's
compressor,
right.
right?
That's
So,
yes.
but age will tell you that based on this company or so and so, this has already used an 80% or 70% of its life. So that means
Yes.
2, 3 years down the line, you might end up changing the furnace
Yes.
because more efficient system is available now.
Yes.
Electricity will be less consumed if you put more efficient
Yep.
system, and there is a cost saving there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Similarly, we have this thermal control. I control I have a two air conditioned two furnace in my house. I control with my phone
Yes.
because I have a Nest control system. I can do the temperature, leave the house, I switch it out automatically, schedule for 1 week. So it saves you
Very
money.
nice.
So
Yes.
when
Yes.
you are doing this, so what is your normal observation when you're doing a home inspection in a standard size 2,000, 2,500 square
Yeah.
feet home? What is your normal observation that you look, what you're really looking for?
Okay. So there's always little little bits of information that if you see it on a house, you know that you need to look further and investigate further.
Yeah.
And there's telltale signs of certain issues from, well, the way I start an inspection, I start on the outside and inspect the foundation and roof first. And if I see flashing or anything shingle related, flashing is the metal that attaches to the house, to the brick, that
Yeah.
which doesn't allow the water to go down the wall, down into the house. And you want to inspect that. That's all part of a roof inspection. You need to know what to look for. And if you do see telltale signs, you'd maybe investigate a bit further to see if there was a potential leak from previous or a potential leak now. And then once I do the outside, I go around the house for the foundation as well, and make sure you look for the foundation is very important because all the major systems are downstairs for the most part, and you get to see a lot about a house and its life through the basement, especially with the thermal camera. But when you have a finished basement, that's how you got to take a different approach, and that's when I
Yeah.
highly recommend a thermal camera.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can't see, a thermal camera doesn't see through a wall, but it allows you to see temperature differences, differentiate between different temperatures and moisture and water, and you could see that on a thermal camera, especially if you prepare the house before inspection. I can talk to you a little bit about preparation
Yes, we will talk
later.
about that.
Like,
Yeah.
and then I work my way inside. And another, you touched upon it here. I thought I'd mention it. So you mentioned the HVAC system and the furnace and the air conditioning. And what I highly recommend to people is an efficiency report that I also provide. It allows, it's not an inspection, but it's an efficiency report of the house, and it allows you to see where your losses are, whether it be summer or winter. And just by what's outlined on this inspection, this efficiency report, you're able to save hundreds of dollars per month if you just fix those minor little issues. And they're 99% of the time, they're very minor, but you're spending hundreds of extra dollars per month because of it.
Yeah,
And people don't realize.
basically putting a caulking around your windows and doors to make sure the weather stripping is done right.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's
Weather
part of it.
stripping of the patio doors and sliding doors that you have, and
Yeah, everything has to be.
yeah.
That's
And you're
right.
also using thermal windows because they are insulated windows. It has
Yes.
argon gas.
Yeah, the dual pane and triple pane. Yes.
Yes. So it
Yes.
depends on the type of the house.
Absolutely.
So basically, when you talk about energy efficiency, that means that everything in the house has to be efficient, not just
That's right.
replace one or two windows and say, okay, it's going to be energy efficient.
whether it be electricity, water, insulation, ducting. There's all kinds of efficiencies lost in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad that you do it. Lots of people. So basically, if you move into a house and all of a sudden things start collapsing on you and you're not prepared for it, it's going to be nightmare. So
It
that's
is
why inspection is very, very important to identify.
very important.
Because once you identify a cost, let's say you have a window leakage, you might have to replace the window of a 2,500 square feet maybe cost you $30,000. Are you willing to
Yes.
to spend that money? Because
Yes.
it's going to be leaking. The moment it's leaking, if one problem leads to another problem.
Yes.
And your furnace is going to quit on you in a year, month, 1 year or so. Hey, listen, I'm not prepared. I just put all the money and to buy this house, and you are trapped. So this is very, very important to have this inspection done and to make sure all costs, the future potential costs, are kept into consideration when you are removing your condition, and also before you moving in and firming up your deal. And also you look into the warranties. If there are newer equipment, there will be a warranty that available to the seller. They can pass it on to the buyer. No,
That's right.
What transpires people to skip the inspection? Is it something that the seller give them a cash back, or some incentive?
I fully understand where you're going with this. I've seen it, and I always recommend against it because, like I said, you got to work for the house. And once you know the condition of the house, I mean, you could use it as a negotiating chip. I mean, if the house is, say, just for simplicity's sake, say the house is going for $500,000, and I go and inspect the house, and it needs a furnace, a roof probably next year, 2 years, and needs a new air conditioner because it's old. It's at the end of its life cycle. So that means you're going to be spending, say, $30,000, whatever. You need some insulation, new windows, $30,000. So you could either use that as a negotiating chip and still get the house, because the house might be in perfectly good shape. It just needs some upkeep. And most of the time the buyers don't back out of it. Once it's highlighted and you know what's on the table and on the plate, it becomes a perfectly good deal again, even though the house needs stuff. And
at least you are walking into the situation where you know what to expect. Right. That, right?
A lot of people go after the deal even more once they know that, because now they have something to negotiate with, and in turn, you look good as the selling agent. The buyer's happy, and you did your job. You made the sale go through.
Sometimes it's possible that people, a family member, can do some renovation work.
Absolutely.
They may not use the qualified people outside. There will be leveling issues. There will be certification requirements, because plumbing and electrical, you got to have a licensed guy.
Yes.
And if you're doing a major overhaul, any structure changes, you have to have a permit for that.
Yes.
All major renovation, you're supposed to get a permit from the city, and especially bathroom and other stuff. So lots of people don't do it, or something. Oh, I got somebody in the family who can do it for me. And maybe when you do home inspection, you start seeing the leveling issue, or maybe floor is tilting some side. Maybe there's a foundation problem. Some settlement is the issue. So if you notice those things, use leveler or check it out to make sure that the floor is a level.
Like I said, when you go into the basement, there's a lot you can see, and you could see many times you can find things that haven't been done by a professional. And once you know how foundations are laid and where the support beams are, some depending on the age of the house, they use wood support. Some are concrete block foundations. Sometimes you have cord foundations, and some are even wooden foundations. But those are the really old houses.
Yeah.
But so you got to watch how the support beams are laid. There's processes they used, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and you have to find those areas. So, like I said, when they're finished basements, you have to look differently, and a lot of the times it's very hard to spot if it's finished. So with a thermal camera, you'll be surprised what you can find, and yeah, and it's there's nothing wrong with doing work yourself, like you said. Family member or a cousin or a brother or a sister has, they did the electrical, say for example. It's perfectly fine to do your electrical if you get it signed off by a licensed electrician and they put their stamp on it or their sticker on it or their date of inspection on it. As long as it's passed and you have it legal, you're okay to go. But if I wouldn't recommend you doing work if you don't know what you're doing.
So now, as a home inspector, when we have in real estate, we have a network of lots of inspectors, the appraisal, other information. So when they are looking for normally realtor will recommend a home inspector. We under the Competition Act, we and Real Estate Council of Ontario guided us that to provide name of three inspectors, three lawyers, whatever, three. So make sure there is a adequate competition. Then let the consumer choose the home inspector.
Yes.
So, did you get any call from multiple realtors that say, I'm checking with other inspectors and I'm also checking about you? I think availability is a very important issue. Your experience and expertise. I personally feel that you are an inspector, so it doesn't matter where the house is. You can do that right, as long as you're available.
Yes.
Is your license or practice that you have, is it in the province of Ontario, the whole Ontario, or is it specific to any city?
No, it's all of Canada actually. It's actually international. It's a Carson Dunlop. If you're not aware of that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Carson Dunlop is Canada wide, and it's actually the leading home inspection training school in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's highly reputable school, and you definitely have to know your stuff to pass that course. Yeah, and it's extremely in depth. There's no way you're going through it without knowledge of how a house is built from top to bottom. Absolutely no way.
Do you do any continuing education to maintain your inspector license?
I'm always looking at the new methods. There's always new codes. I mean, every year, every 5 to 10 years, there are new codes laid out for home construction, and they use different methods, whether it be through electrical or plumbing. Like recently, for plumbing they had a few changes recently, and for electrical they had new codes they have to follow. It's all generally the same thing. They're just using different materials, and recently they've approved that for use in residential construction. Yep, I'm always looking into the new techniques they use that we have to inspect. Now it becomes a part of the inspection process.
Yeah, well, that's good. So it's a good thing that the construction material is changing, the method of construction is changing.
Yes,
and so is our coronavirus now.
Oh,
coronavirus has changed the way of doing business. Okay, so we're going to go back now, and we're going to have a few minutes before we have a break. So now under coronavirus, when somebody asks you to do a home inspection, what step that you are taking to protect yourself and the seller or the owner of the house, and what step that you take to do the inspection. It may go into our break, so tell us how you begin that process, and then we'll take a little break afterward, and then we'll go to the city. So let's begin. How do you conduct your inspection during this coronavirus pandemic?
Okay. Generally, to be honest, it hasn't changed very much. In general, most of my inspections have been with the sellers, the seller of the house was most of the time was there, but I asked them to leave or stay downstairs, or I'm just going to be walking around the house. It's normally one or two people along with myself in the house, but they're never, 99% of the time, they don't stay with me. So we're separate anyway. And most of the time they're in the kitchen talking with the agent, and then I come back down, and then I come back to their level on the main floor, for example, and they're in the kitchen talking about the deal and what's going to happen, and the agent's just giving the buyer information, and meanwhile I'm doing the inspection in the background. So really, it's not I don't think it'd be a COVID-19 issue for the most part. But when I enter a house, I always ask them if they want to come back in an hour or 2 hours, or feel free to have a coffee. I'll be done in about an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I'll let the agent know when it's complete. They come back. Some of them leave go in the front, outside, or it's really not a big issue, dear.
Yeah, according to our legal guidelines and also Real Estate Business Broker Act, now CRES, we have to be present. We have, as a realtor professional, have to give you access to the house, and we have to be present in the house with you, because we, as representing a buyer in this case, have obligation to make sure that it's done safe. And we're going to talk about who can attend and who are actually participating. I always believe that the buyer has a right of independent inspection and point of view to make final decision based on your independent, unbiased report.
Yes.
Because you rightly said the report is about house, not about buyer, not about seller. So that was very rightly said. So we're going to continue this conversation, and we're going to take a break now. You viewers, you are watching Realty Coffee Talk, importance of home inspection at Awaz Television. We're going to take a break. We'll come back to you shortly.
Thank you.
Dame Drops told us how good Popeye's buttermilk biscuit shrimp is without us even asking.
So crunchy, buttery, just like those biscuits. Are you hungry yet?
8 shrimp, a side, and a biscuit for just $6.99.
At KM 9000 sang about Popeye's buttermilk biscuit shrimp because he was feeling it.
Shrimp, 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 shrimp. Shrimp, 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 shrimp.
8 shrimp, a side, and a biscuit for just $6.99.
Help those who are in dire need. Help low-income tier. Volunteers are ready to help families in need. We are serving people daily, delivering to white-collar people, commission-based workers, women who stitch, factory workers, and many more classes. Every day through our enablement drive and constant support from friends and family, we have served over 1,300 families with ration hampers worth 5 million rupees. Your donation can save lives. The best charity is given in Ramadan. Awaz Entertainment Foundation. Donate now.
Consumer Choice Award recipients and GTA's top-ranked service provider, Dixie Electronics, authorized dealer of all major companies. Shop with a peace of mind, and low prices are always guaranteed.
I promise best customer service and lowest prices in GTA because we beat prices from all major stores and small stores. At Dixie Electronics, our motto is we sell quality and deliver confidence.
Dixie Electronics and Appliances, 5120 Dixie Road, Unit 11, Mississauga. Phone number 905-625-5900.
अब बैरी में घर खरीदें या इन्वेस्ट करें आसानी के साथ बिकॉज सनराइज होम्स प्राउडली प्रेजेंट स्टेशन टाउन्स इन बैरी नियर गो स्टेशन बुकिंग सिर्फ $5,000 से और फिर सिर्फ $1,250 की 24 आसान इंस्टॉलमेंट्स स्टेशन टाउन्स इन बैरी फ्रॉम हाई 400,000 विद असाइनमेंट सो कॉल वाजिद मलिक विद एक्सक्लूसिव प्लैटिनम एक्सेस एट 416-827-3333 416-827-3333 Wajid Malik, trusted name in the community.
Welcome, Tahir Qureshi on Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Television in Canada, around the world. We were talking about the importance of home inspection. Our inspector is taking a little break, so hopefully will join us very soon. The important thing is when you buy a house, you spend a lot of money, your lifetime saving, and when you have, it's time to come to decide whether to have inspection or not. No motivation should deter you not to do home inspection unless you have a written report satisfactory from the seller that providing about the about the condition of the property. Home inspection are mostly visual. That means whatever they can see. Some home inspector has tools, air pollutions, contamination, and also moisture barriers they install or not, leakage of the water. You can see the insulation. You cannot see those unless you go up and check that attic. So inspection is very, very important because let's assume you have a little less insulation in winter, it's going to be cold, and then you're going to burn more energy if you don't have a proper insulation. Maybe putting an extra insulation will cost you only a few $100s. But if you are running a heat in a winter and it's cold, you are burning more gas and you're going to be paying more expenses. Similarly, if a basement is done, is finished, majority of the inspector, I know George has thermal cameras. They can see the moisture behind the wall, whether it is moisture because of accumulation that happened now, or there is still continuing a leakage. Because when you have a finished basement, you are not able to see the moisture. So it's very important is what is behind the wall. It's a part of my training program, how to be a successful seller. It will tell you what needs to be done. So this is what is all about. So finally, George is back now.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, you're missing out a little bit, but it's okay. So George, we're going to come back to you again. We're talking about the moisture in the basement when you have a finished basement.
Yes.
And how you detect the moisture in the basement is a finished basement. You don't see anything. You can check the air circulation if you have your infrared sensor. I have a few of them that I use just to check it, feel good about it. Leakage around the windows and doors, and also temperature. Because if your roof is not cold as like having a consistent temperature in the house, checking the heating and cooling is working properly or not. So what tools do you use to check the moisture barrier leakage in the wall, or how do you do that?
So let me share that with you. So number one, absolutely by far, is the thermal camera. It shows you all that. You could use a moisture meter. I've used in the past, but it's nowhere near as accurate. So I even stopped using it because it's almost useless when it comes to a thermal camera. And it allows you to see from any type of moisture buildup in the corners, in the cracks on the floor, behind drywall, behind moisture barriers, behind fiberglass, behind in the concrete of the foundation itself. You can tell, you could see all of it. You could see past residue. You could see current active leaks. You could see current moisture areas, even, the slightest half a degree, anything. And that's with the thermal camera. You'll never see that with the moisture meter. And from the outside to the inside, like I said, if you prepare the house for inspection properly, there's a lot more you could see.
So what you are saying is, if you being a owner and seller, if you already know there are challenges in the house, basically you're telling them to get it fixed before you ask you to come down for inspection. That's what you're saying, correct?
Yes. So not it's not necessarily always like that case. A lot of the time, it is something. I've seen buyers buy a house in relatively good shape where there were some deficiencies and some things that need to be taken care of right away. But the sale went through just fine. The reason why is, like I said before, is when the buyer knows the information about the house or the condition, they're more willing to push the sale on some cases than if they didn't know. You know what I mean? So once you have that information in front of you, a whole possibility of changes open up. Sometimes you have bidding wars on a house that needs some work all the time.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a very strange question: is how many times that you have given a report that the buyer has walked away from the deal, or people are satisfied with your report and they firm the deal?
So okay,
Just
let me put
another
it.
Question.
Yeah. So what I noticed with when you come out with a report where, say, the house was in poor shape and the report wasn't really something the buyer wanted to see or the seller wanted to see, depending on who hires you. You can, either the buyer, the seller, or the agent, regardless. But the report came out, the house wasn't in the greatest shape. And so the good thing about it, when you work for the house itself, it makes everybody come out with an eased mind. So for example, say you were the agent of that buyer, and they're like, "Oh, Tahir, it's, we didn't realize this house was in this condition," but now they have more trust in you because you let them know the condition of the house, because you have a proper inspector. He showed the deficiencies, and now they trust you even more. Tahir, find us a house that we really want, and in the meantime, you look better right across the board. Everybody's happy. So it really never causes a problem if the inspection's done correctly. I've never seen it come out in a bad way.
Yeah, this is very, very important when you are choosing an inspector. It must be experienced. He understand the complexity. If it's sometime, I'm not against anyone, but if you have someone new coming into the picture is going to be a learning curve for them.
Absolutely.
So it's good to have someone who has experience, or he or she is working with someone who has experience as a doing together to get some experience and knowledge.
Yes.
And practice make perfect. So as
You're
you
absolutely right.
move along and you learn the system, advances, technology, there's some system that you have 10 years ago, they're no longer here now. We have
That's
a new
right.
system, optimization happening, more going toward energy efficiency.
Yes.
And this is very important. And also maintaining a house is also a cost that come with the ownership. So
Yes.
when you are doing an inspection of a property, and I remember I talked to you about it, we're gonna have a few minutes left to continue our conversation. So if somebody is coming to you, typically, how much is the cost that you charge for a home inspection? And you can give square footage or any idea to our viewers.
So normally, on average, like you mentioned before, on average, I can give you details if you want. For an average size house, I'd say 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. I mean, that's a little bit bigger than average, but you're looking at around a $500 inspection, and I include thermal in my inspection. So I thermal the whole house. Normally, thermal is a lot more money.
Yes.
Thermal on its own.
Yes.
On its own, if you do a full thermal inspection, is easily $1,000, and that's just thermal on its own. That's not including the inspection. So I offer that in my inspections, so free to the customer.
Okay. So that's very good, because I tell you, I used to get the thermal because I remember I mentioned to you I have a flyer camera C3, which is wireless actually.
Yes.
And I do it for the sake of learning myself. And I never give any verdict to anyone. I always use an inspector to do the things.
Yes.
Pollutant, also you have a dust settle down. Sometimes HVAC is not working. People have kept the door closed, never turn on the ventilation. So dust settles down in the filters. And if you have a carpet in the basement and it's absorbed the dust, and when you walk on it, it dust start raising up.
Yeah, starts lifting.
Lifting, and that contaminate the air inside, because the dead air inside the house, and sometimes you may have a breathing problem when you are there. Absolutely. I remember one of the housing I did, I bought a air pollutant tester because I'm sensitive to the sense when it's dangerous.
It is.
Like I cannot feel fresh air. I feel nose is drying up, right?
Yeah.
So I bought this device. So I calibrate outside. When I know this whole house is old and it's showing a vacant, that's a sign for me. So I calibrate, and the moment I take it inside, if the air quality doesn't meet per million second, it goes to red and give me alarm.
Yes.
I say, let's get out.
Yes.
It is just for my safety and my client's safety when we are going in there. And I have to order air quality inspector to come right away and do the testing, because we're planning to go home inspection. So these are the things they are done just to educate yourself, but you always recommend qualified professional in the competent jurisdiction to do their job.
Absolutely.
We as a real estate professional, we are very qualified to talk about real estate, but we're not a home inspector. We're not appraiser.
Yes.
We can provide opinion what we are allowed by the law.
Yes.
And I always recommend that you do home inspection. Last minute, I'm going to ask you, what about the condominium, condo units?
Yes.
Do you do any inspection of the condo units?
Yes, I do. We do condos, do high rise, do homes.
So what do you look in a condo unit?
So it's basically those are typically a little bit cheaper because you can actually not all the equipment is on that floor. So the only thing I can inspect is the living dwelling, right? And so you can't actually go.
You have a kitchen, you have a bathroom and bedroom.
That's right. That's right. Living room, bathroom, kitchen, yeah. And so it's the living quarters, the living dwelling, and that's it. That's all you can expect.
I was in Milton before I came here, and I noticed that they have a heat recovery unit and also tankless water heater inside the unit.
Yes, that if it's inside the dwelling, it'll be inspected.
Okay, we're going to be running out of our time, so basically, I want you to give your final message about importance of home inspection. Then you can also give them your name, number, company name, and where they can reach you.
Okay, thank you, Tahir.
So go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening to our chat. So my advice to anyone looking to purchase in the near future, or a few years down the road, always you need to make a smart decision. You need to make a qualified home inspector with the adequate training. The training to conduct a home inspection the way it needs to be done. You need to be at ease with your purchase, and once you have the information in regards to the condition of the house, you'll be able to make a more informed decision. And in turn, especially first-time home buyers, they need to have this information, and that is a big purchase. And why risk that type of investment for a measly $500 when you could be at ease with it? Once you purchase your new home, you have very few things that'll surprise you in the near future. You'll know what kind of money you're going to have to put into certain areas of the house, and just to know your costs down the road. And every house, even a brand new house, will have costs, right? But you want to limit that if you're looking for a house to flip. You always, regardless of what kind of house, you always need a home inspection, whether it be for negotiating purposes or rentals or rental unit. Home inspections are absolutely necessary. And like I said, if you need to get a hold of a home inspector, I am available. My name is George Kadlicko. My company name is Inspection Sense, and my site is being set up currently, but feel free to give me a shout anytime at 416-856-6690 with all your questions. And if you need anything, just please let me know.
Thank you very much, George, for joining Realty Coffee Talk on Awaz Entertainment, Importance of Home Inspection. Viewers, you have now a little bit understanding about how important it is to have a home inspection, because you don't want to have surprises when you come into the home. You may be tempted, or you may be induced to give some discount, offer you good price, some kickback, cashback, whatever you want to call it. But that is a red flag for you.
Yes.
That is something could be wrong with the house. So you have to think about yourself, the investment you are making into that house, to ensure that you hire a qualified home inspector who, I believe, is doing inspection based on the condition of the house, not that he's a friend or referred by a buyer agent or a seller agent. I like this, George, what he said about it. I'm doing inspection about the house. It has nothing to do with who pays for the inspection, because every licensed practitioner, whether it's realtor, lawyer, inspector, appraiser, they conduct themselves according to the code of ethics and professional standards.
Exactly.
They follow the law. They maintain integrity, professionalism, to make sure they give you honest opinion about the condition of the house. The decision ultimately will rest with the buyer who is buying the house, whether they can absorb those costs or additional work that is required to make sure that you are making this house a sweet home, and you enjoy and live happily thereafter. So it's very, very important for you to know you have a peace of mind, you have a report, and you can plan your budget. If roof has to be replaced after 4 years, air conditioner has to be replaced after 2 years, and if your roofing has to be done or furnace has to, you already have a plan for that. And you allocate funds to make sure that you are able to achieve that and you can live happily and enjoy your new purchase. I thank you very much, viewer, for watching this program. If you have any comment, please feel free to call Awaz Entertainment, our studio, and give us a call or call me. My number is 416-451-3489. I'm also a broker of record for City Pro Realty Inc. Brokerage. My passion is real estate and your success my priority. I thank you for watching. And again, on behalf of Awaz Entertainment and Realty Coffee Talk, we thank our doctors, nurses, health staff, hospital staff, those people who bring food, and police who are protecting us against coronavirus. I hope this lockdown is lifted soon, slowly but surely. But our business will not be the normal again. We have to take precautions, make sure you use your mask and you use gloves to protect and try to maintain the social distance. Thank you very much to all of you viewers watching. Thank you. God bless you all. May God bless Canada. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.